Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. Now, as y'all know, I normally don't do custom builds for clients. I like to have my creative freedom to be able to do whatever I want with a piece and just sell it when it's done. I don't have to live up to anybody's expectations or live up to an image that somebody may have in their head that may not match reality. So pretty much it just puts a lot of unnecessary stress on me, so I usually just like building and selling. Plus, a lot of times I have no idea how to quote somebody on a custom build because until I get into it and figure out what I'm going to be doing, these aren't builds that I do repetitively. So each one that's something new, I have no idea how much time is really going to go into it or even what the material cost is going to be. It's not like just taking a dresser and knowing that I'm going to put some paint on it. Sometimes when you get into the industrial and steampunk pieces, you can be as creative as the amount of money you want to spend on it. So it gets really complicated sometimes to be able to give a quote for the steampunk and industrial custom one-off pieces. So the reason I took this commission piece is just because, like the client before with the poker table, he pretty much gave me full creative freedom. His only stipulations were it needs to be 4 foot wide or narrower, it needs to be 18 inches from the wall or shorter, it needs to have doors in it, and a display shelf. But just to make sure I could get everything in the measurements that he wanted in the design that I was thinking about, I put it on paper. I know, it's like art, right? Just sign it, hang it on the wall. I'm going to be putting steel wheels on this piece. So I got some that have locks built into them. I already know about what height I want the coffee bar to be at. I've got something trippy I'm thinking about doing with the top, so that'll make a difference in height as well. But I'm going to start off with getting the measurement of my wheels and then go from there. I think these are 4 or 5 inches tall, but then that will give us the measurement of the sidewall we're about to start building. Okay, so what I do know is I want the height right here to be around 32 inches. So for my sidewall with the wheel on top, the wheel's 5 inches. So I need to take 5 away from 32, and that'll give me the length of this wall here and this wall here. So I'm stepping up my game a little bit, trying to get some cleaner cuts instead of just using the Makita hand grinder or using the chop saw. So as you can see, I made an upgrade. This Viver bandsaw is freaking awesome. It's actually a portable bandsaw. You can take it with the base like it is here, move it around, or you can take out 3 Allen heads. It has a handle down here on the other end, handle here. You can take it and use it as a portable bandsaw. I don't know if you can see or not, but this lever right here, that's the one that pulls and puts tension. We also have a switch right here with a light so we can see where our mark's at. Now, if you don't know why I'm excited about having a bandsaw, you're about to see here in a second. This thing is going to cut through this metal like butter. Then afterwards, it leaves a nice clean cut, unlike using the chop saw, which you have to go through and clean your cuts up afterwards. This is also going to give us a lot thinner, more precise of a cut too. Nice clean straight cut. Got a tiny bit to clean up on the back side. That's probably because I just pushed it through. If you want to, instead of setting it flat like this, you can set it like this and it'll even cut through faster. Because like this, it's got this big flat surface to cut through, and then it goes fast through the thin ones, and then it slows down again to go through this big flat surface. Like this, there's no big flat surface, so it just cuts through even faster. How freaking cool is that? All right, this one I'm going to cut at that diamond shape angle just to show you how much faster it'll go through. Look at that! So much less cleanup, so much faster. How freaking cool is that? I love this thing already. This is going to make such a big difference. If you're interested in getting one of these, I'll put a link to it down in the description below. At the time of this video, I was just looking for a bandsaw with a portable base that you can set up for angles, or you can take it off and use it by hand. And you see it's working great. I will get $170 worth of use out of this thing on this one build today. The amount of time that it's already going to save me just not having to clean up all these ends after cutting them, or not having an exact precise 90-degree cut and having to go through and touch them up and clean them up. This is going to save me so much time. And as we all know, time is money. Now, I was just thinking, I probably should be using some kind of cutting oil with this to make the blade last longer. It'd probably make the blade go through faster too, I would think, I would assume. I'm new to all this metalworking stuff, so if you have any advice on that, what kind of oil I should be using, if I shouldn't even use oil, or any other tips and tricks you may have to make these bandsaw blades last as long as possible. All right, let's cut some more stuff. Okay, so we know the client said from the wall out, he wants 18 inches or less. So I'm going to take full advantage of the 18 inches, but not on the entire piece. I'm going to have my countertops hang out to 18 inch. So I'm going to build this at 17 inch so I can have a 1/2 inch to 1 inch overhang at the top, if that makes sense. So we need to take 4 away from 17. That'll give us a center section of 13. So this is going to be one side. I need to cut a 13 piece here and a 13 inch piece here. All right, now of course my welding shirt is already completely soaked in sweat, so I'm gonna have to do this in stages with it being this hot out here. Welding jacket, the welding gloves, the helmet, and then the heat from the welder, and it being 106 outside, I'm just cooking, so I'm going to have to pace myself out. I've tried to push through before in the past, and I end up feeling like crap for 2 days. So I'm gonna take a break, let all this cool down, and then I'll start on the next section. My new fire tool square came in. I've already got that one y'all seen me using over there, but I need a second one for what I'm running into right now. Instead of using this square, or if I use this square, I can also have this, but just like that, make sure everything's square going up, going out, going across. I'm not sponsored by them, and these are very expensive, but man, do they make everything go so much smoother and precise. It is, I know for a fact this is 90 from the table. I know from a fact this is 90 from this leg. And then if I had to, I can also put one up here and I would know this is 90. So everything stays square with those clamped in. And I'm not having to sit there and check it with my squares or taking measurements trying to get it to square up. Saw's freaking awesome. Man, these are so freaking great. Look at that, it's just automatically squared up. So I'm not having to check it. I know nothing's gonna be out of tweak. I can crank it down hard enough that even when I go to weld it, it's not gonna move. I don't know if a lot of y'all know, but if you start welding on one side of something, the heat will pull it that direction. So with those being clamped down like that, it's not gonna move anywhere. The aluminum like absorbs the heat, so there's not a bunch of shifting on you. Just these things are great. Like I said, I purchased these myself, but if anybody at Fireball Tool is watching and wants to sponsor me or send me some product to try, I wouldn't say no. These really are cool, guys. I'm glad I got them. Y'all have seen my buddy Jesse in some of the other videos welding stuff for me before I had a welder. He's the one that told me about these, and he welds every day for a living. So if he says the product's good, then I can usually trust his word. And yeah, I was a little hesitant on spending the money on these, but as you can see, everything on this piece is perfectly square, and it's because I was able to use these. Took a lot of the guesswork and the headache out of it, and you've seen in some of my other videos, I'm trying to clamp it down to the table and use the magnets, and I go to tack it a couple times, and all of a sudden it twists or gets cattywampus, and I have to cut it off and put it back on. These just save me an entire day's worth of work. Maybe some of my awesome subscribers will start sending some emails over to Fireball Tool telling them how they need to sponsor my channel. Figured I'd try some of my drill bit oil on there. So what I'm going to be doing here is putting in doors. I've never done doors before, at least not metal doors. I think I have a handle on it, but it's definitely going to be a learning experience, and I'm just going to teach myself like I do everything else. Biggest thing is I've been worried about is it being a thick door that it may hang opening and shutting. So I may have to make it a little more narrow, but I think that's going to work. So as you seen a second ago, I already cut my 1x1 framing for the length of these. I just went through, and as you can see, got about an 1/8 inch, a little less than an 1/8 inch gap on both sides. Let's see if we can make that work. It may be a little tight. I may have to redo everything, but I don't want it to have a huge gap, but I also don't want it to have any interference opening or closing. So like I said, it's going to be all trial and error. Now I need to get my measurement from here up so I can build my sidebars. So I'm just going to stack both of these and measure up, since that would be the same distance if I had held this here and took a measurement in between. And it's hot already. It's not even 10 o'clock yet. I'm dripping sweat. About 8 3/4. About 8 3/4. That'll give us a little bit of gap top and bottom. All right, let's cut those pieces. Now I'm already a lot further along than I thought I would be at this point. Whenever I built the frame for that bar and I didn't have these tools, it took me almost 3, maybe 4 days to get that. And it was just trying to get it squared out and get everything lined up. And yeah, it was a lot larger of a piece, but this has a lot more pieces to it. And this one's going to end up a lot more precise. So what normally probably would have taken me 2 or 3 days, I did in less than a day, thanks to those tools. So it just profited me 2 days worth of labor. So I'm learning that whole you got to invest in yourself, which for me, that's not emotional, that's tools. I need to invest tools into myself, and then I can make cooler stuff. All right, enough talking. Let's get back to work. So I just went through and put an 1/8 inch piece of steel down here as a spacer to raise that door up. And then I got all the magnets holding it flush with the outside. Picked these up for $4 each at the metal supply store. So we're going to weld those on and see how they work. Nice, smooth operation. We hadn't even greased them yet. They got grease certs in them. Should be even smoother after greasing them. Pretty cool. First time ever doing metal doors. All right, so this is where I'm at this point. I got aluminum diamond plate floor for this bottom shelf. I put a piece of sheet metal in for this backing to cover up the bottom shelf. I plan on putting real wood up here, but I haven't permanently attached to this yet because I still need expanded metal like this on the end, but with the small holes. I think they're 1/2 inch holes to use as a shelf right here. But for some reason, all the local metal shops are out of the 1/2 inch expanded metal. So I don't know what's going on. So I'm gonna get online and see if I can't order a piece this size that'll get here in a decent time. If not, I may try to figure out something different to do for the shelf. All right, well, I put some thought into the expanded metal. I looked online, see if I can order any and get it within the next day or so. Everything's 24 inches. I don't know if I want to split it and have 2 pieces or not. So I'm just going to leave it be now and put some thought into it. But I am going to go ahead and start figuring out how I want to put wood inside these lower doors. Okay, so this is my idea to add a little bit of industrial kind of accents to the piece. I'm gonna cut out these steel pieces and then weld in steel rivets like so, and then I'll weld these to the piece. Normally I would drill the piece and just go ahead and weld these in so you couldn't see any welds on the outside. But since we're using anywhere from 2-inch to 1-inch square tubing, I would have to have at least a 2-inch stud coming off of this to reach all the way through to weld it. Or I'd have to hack out a massive hole on the back of the square tubing to be able to get in there and weld it. So I think I'm just going to weld these to the back of this, grind them down smooth, stick it on the piece, and then put a couple tack welds to hold it in place. At least the idea. Let's see what happens. This freaking saw is awesome. Like, I just cut all these in a matter of minutes. So same thing with the 1-inch pieces I showed you earlier. Just this time, we're going to do one this way with a big steel rivet right here. And then to make it the same length, this one will come off this way. And I'll weld it and I'll grind it so it looks like one solid piece. So it'll have a rivet here, still rivet here, and still rivet here. I don't know if I want to put one in the corner or not, maybe. I don't know yet. Maybe just put one here and here. May need one in the corner. I don't know. But I could have put a 45 along here and had all these the same length. But I was worried about it lining up exactly perfect and having to weld in for the gap and all that stuff. It's just easier to do it this way. For now, till I get better. And it's still hot. Well, after wasting a day and a half, I ended up just going and getting these. So 2 of these in a 16 by 30 ended up costing me almost the exact same price as if I just went and bought a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet. But nobody has them, so ain't nothing to do about it. Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet. You can't let it get you all messed up. Just gotta keep rolling. It's not heavy for you. You're the muscle. I just build the stuff. You move it. Come on, muscle.
Which way are we going now?
Yeah, just flip it upside down. Okay.
Oops. Oh. It's stuck.
Muscle. You need to calm down.
All hyped up on Mountain Dew!
Okay, so I plan on putting lights in this piece, but I don't want just an on-off switch and the lights end up being too bright or overwhelming. I'm going to put a dimmer in. This side of the piece is going to be against a wall. I'm going to cut out a section and put this inside so the dimmer comes out right here. And then instead of using the white plastic dimmer knob, which wouldn't go with this piece, I'm going to see if I can't figure out a way to use one of these faucet knobs to control the dimmers. See what we can do. I know it's getting dark out here, so it's hard for y'all to see, but pretty much I got this old school jack underneath here. So the client will be able to adjust this top up and down. So if he wants to put something bigger than, well, right now we're setting it up for coffee cups. So if he wants to put something bigger than coffee cups, he's not stuck with only having a 5-inch gap. He can crank that thing up and raise it up higher if he wants to. Or if he ever decided to take it from being a coffee bar and maybe put it underneath a TV or something like that, he could go a little bit higher with it, put a TV above it, then have a shelf for DVD players or whatever he wants to underneath. Now, my biggest concern when I was doing this is the little bit of play that the jack has in it. I knew that little bit of play in the jack would be a lot out here, but what I came up with was I'm going to try to, behind the jack, I'm going to try to weld a pipe in with a larger pipe over the top of it. It'll slide up and down so that it'll take all this play out. So that's what I got to figure out next, but I'm calling it a night.